don't give it to you in that regard at all. And it just makes me wonder, if he's going to say that he's the best wide receiver of all time, what quarterback's going to come out and say that they're the best quarterback of all time next? Was Johnny Manziel going to come out and say, "Oh, I was the best quarterback in a year and a half I played"? Like,
he's the best quarterback at drinking.
I mean, and you want to talk about best quarterbacks of all time. If you really want to round out the top five, it's Joe Montana, it's Dan Marino, and then it's Troy Aikman.
It's fucking.
And then it's Brett Favre.
You're forgetting about Terry Bradshaw.
No, if you're going based on our generation.
Oh, okay.
Because if you want to do top five of all time, then you got to go back. You got to go to
Peyton Manning, Drew Brees.
You got to go to even like Bart Starr and Tarkenton and all those guys, and you got to include it. And you got to include in the conversation. Warren Moon, comes to mind as being one hell of a quarterback.
Jim Kelly.
Yeah, him too.
Buffalo Bills, but they never fucking had. They never ever.
Yeah, well, you know what? How many shank kicks did they have? You know what? Maybe
one against the Giants. Thank God, man.
Well, maybe the holder didn't have laces in. He had the laces in instead of laces out. Who knows?
Problem.
Hey, I don't know. Finkel's Einhorn, Finkel.
I don't know. Giants won that one, 2019. Thanks for the missed field goal, buddy.
And it makes me think. And then you got to think about, well, who's the top running back of all time? And there's so many. And then who's the top tight end of all time? And who's the top this? And who's the top that?
I can make my discussion about. I think Barry Sanders, only because he only played 10 seasons to hit the 15,000 mark, rushing mark. Now you have Emmitt Smith played 15 seasons to hit that. Now if Barry Sanders would have played an extra 5 seasons, he definitely would have hit the 20,000 rushing yard mark.
He definitely would have.
Hands down.
He definitely would have, but I think he, like Megatron, they both retired at a young age, but both at different scenarios. Because Barry Sanders, more to prolong his personal health.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson's was more due to money. And then there was talks of, like, if he would come out of retirement, because he's still young to a degree, that, would he come out of retirement and play with Detroit? He said he would. At one point, he said he would come out of retirement, but never to play for Detroit because the way they tried screwing him over, and as far as, him putting his body on the line, always being the go-to guy, and then they wanted to offer him this when he wanted this. I don't blame guys that do that.
A guy like that, man, you pay the man. Period.
Well, yeah, you have to pay him, but, Detroit hasn't gotten it right in how many years?
Well, I feel bad for Matt Stafford, bro. Wasted his whole career.
Well, speaking of that,
whole career, man.
Speaking of Stafford, because there's been talks of Detroit, maybe trading him.
Well,
somebody wrote an article about how the Steelers would be a team that might look at Stafford to replace Roethlisberger. Now, I'm all for it.
But not long term, though.
As long as he stays healthy.
Well,
and then because
with your guys' offensive line, I think he wouldn't get sacked as much.
He wouldn't. And I would definitely take him over, even though he's had losing seasons. He has that grit that I think Wentz is missing, and that's why I wouldn't take Wentz.
He's got that Brett Favre.
I wouldn't take, and that's why I would take Stafford over Wentz in Pittsburgh any day of the week.
I would take my mom over Wentz.
But when it's all said and done, even if the Steelers don't trade for Ben's heir apparent, I also read articles where they're 2 years behind in finding his heir apparent. And I got to agree with it. Because if you think it's Mason Rudolph, at one point I thought it would be, but then he digresses. It's not Josh Dobbs.
Nope.
And if they don't draft him in this draft, Ben's replacement, then that goes to show me that Kevin Colbert is going to go make a trade. And who it's going to be, God only knows.
Well, it depends on what the Jets do with their first pick.
Well,
if they draft
the only way the Jets are getting the first pick.
No, their first round pick was the second pick.
Yeah, but they still have a shot at the first pick.
If Jacksonville wins the game.
Jacksonville's got to beat Chicago.
Or a tie.
Which neither are going to happen, so we already know that. And the Jets got to lose. They can't win any games.
I know.
But I think it just winds up, the way it is now is the way it's going to end. Jacksonville's going to get the number 1 pick. And if you're the Jets, listen, you got a lot of moves you can make with the second pick. You can either draft Justin Fields and say bye to Sam Darnold, in which case then that's a viable option to get Darnold over to Pittsburgh. And then not only that, he sits behind Roethlisberger for a year, learns the system, and then he teams up with Juju again. And listen, for all those Jet fans that think Darnold's the problem, again, I tell you, he's not. He's not
Did
the
you
problem.
watch the way you played last week?
The problem is the offensive line not protect him. The problem is he doesn't have weapons to utilize. And then when he did have weapons, they were misused.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Case in point again,